Well, hello everyone, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays on this 25th of December of the year 2020. So today, Studio Khara decided to give us a little present early this morning, and it's regarding Evangelion 3.0+1. That's right, they decided to release what it seems to be the last teaser for the film that is set to be released in January 23rd. Now this teaser, which is named One Last Kiss, was released under the excuse that was the introduction of a new song. But it's definitely a new teaser, and oh boy, there are things that we need to talk about. So for DMCA reasons and copyright, I cannot play the whole clip here in this video. So instead I'm gonna attach in the comment section down below and in the descriptions of the video the link that will take you to Studio Khara official YouTube channel, and you can watch the clip there if you haven't yet. And then you can come back here to this video where we are going to go into the nitty-gritty and see what we can dissect. But first, I want to address a couple of Evangelion news that we got for the past week. The first one is that we have a new poster for the film. In it, we can see the 5 children with the title of the movie. So there's nothing in particular that we can rescue here, only that they are standing on white sand with seawater. So we can extend it a little bit and say, well, in the reveal continuity, we never see blue water, but we start the first movie with sea already red, which is a tribute to the end of Evangelion, as we know that in the end of Evangelion, the movie ends with red water. Now in this poster, we have what it seems to be clear sea water on white sand, which remind us of the end of Evangelion, which the only difference is, of course, the color of the water. Now I'm not gonna go very deep into it because that is all that is showing us. Also, Mary doesn't have shoes on her feet, she has them on her hands, and of course Asuka doesn't have her eye patch. So other than that, it just seems like a very fun poster that they gave us for the end of the year. The second news that I want to address is that Studio Khara finally addressed international release date and what they were planning to do. Now, on previous videos I've been speculating on the possibility that they might do a digital release soon after they release the movie in Japan. Now that scenario is still within the realms of possibility. And because they haven't disclosed what exactly their plans are, as they only stated in this tweet that they are making some arrangement for international release. So we do not know exactly what is going to happen, as we know that because of the COVID-19, many countries have different rules regarding movie theaters, which opens the possibility even wider to a digital release close to the official release date on the 23rd of January in Japan. Now it doesn't say a lot to us that live outside Japan, but at least we are being acknowledged because it's been felt like we've been ignored for the past months or so, ever since the movie was postponed. However, as soon as we get an official roadmap on how they're going to plan to release the film internationally, I'm gonna be covering up and letting you guys know either on my YouTube channel or on my Twitter account. If you haven't followed me on Twitter yet, I highly recommend you to do so because I will be covering all the aspects of the film, mainly there, and then on my YouTube channel. Just because it's easier to send a tweet than to make a video. Finally, I want to issue a spoiler alert here, especially on the last sequence of this teaser, in which there are mild spoilers on how all the things going to go down. Therefore, spoiler alert number 1, if you haven't watched any of the previous Reveal of Evangelion movies, there's gonna be massive spoilers for you. And spoilers alert number 2, the last sequence of this clip may reveal the actual end of the movie. which I have to say is predictable. So if you've been watching my videos and are a hardcore Evangelion fan and you have watched previous film, you can expect it. Now, they are not massive spoilers, but they are definitely mild spoilers. With that being said, we can begin. In this first image, it seems to me that is the Evangelion Unit 1 hand. Now, we know the Evangelion Unit 1 right now is within the Wonder. That's the reason why Evangelion Unit 1 as we know it doesn't appear on the third movie. And we know this because Dr. Akagi said it. And that was the whole reason behind the opening of the film in space with Asuka and Mary salvaging the unit. Now I think that right now the Evangelion Unit 1 as we see it here is within the Wonder and they are making some kind of work on it. But it's only a speculation, as can also be a failure of Infinity, and this might be the explanation on how NERV is able to construct all these new Evangelion units that we are being shown since the third film and all the teasers that we have been getting. So it's either one of those, Evangelion Unit 1 within the Wonder, or a failure of Infinity and NERV being working on it to turn it into an Evangelion unit. On the next shot, we see clear water. We only see clear water once in the whole saga, and that is when Kaji takes the children to this awesome aquarium on a field trip. We know that the rest of the world is covered in red water since the first film. So this is either a pond or a container that is having clear water, or maybe a backflash sequence that is showing us clear water. In the next image we have the white moon and one of the antennas. Now, because we do not know what exactly happened between the second and third film, we never get to see how the white moon opened like it showed on the image. The only thing that we can remember that it looks like is the black moon on the end of Evangelion, when Lilith opened the black moon to absorb all the souls. So we can predict that something like that happened, but instead of being the black moon, it happened to the white moon. At this point, you should know that the white moon is the egg in which Adam got to Earth. Now, this is very important, because Adam got to Earth first, and the only reason why the white moon is on space is because when the black moon hit the Earth by mistake, with Lilith inside her, she ejected the white moon to space. So there are two moons, the black one and the white one. In the end of Evangelion, we see the black moon as is Lilith, who is taking all the souls. Because we do not know what happened between the second and third movie, we never see the moon open up like this. Other than that, the antenna is covered on core. This is not unusual, we have seen this before. Then we have a very quick shot on the Yamaha piano, which is, in my opinion, just some brand positioning there. And we see cables with birds flying by, which is very common on some of Hideaki Anno's shots. What is not common are the actual birds, because we do not know if birds actually exist in this world anymore. So it's curious, to say the least. Maybe it's a flashback or sorts. Now we see a girl being dressed, and we can deduct that this girl, it has to be either Rei or Asuka. Now Asuka, as we know, is very popular on cosplay. Many people that cosplay as Asuka use the school dress, which is really fun. But because of the tone of the skin, in my opinion, it seems Rei, and Shinji is the one that is dressing her. Now that's my opinion, and I cannot be sure that it's either Shinji or Rei. But if you ask me, the skin color of the person being dressed is more similar to Rei's skin color than to Asuka, but I would say that it's either or. And in my opinion, it's Shinji who is dressing that person. What that might tell us? That might tell us that the person being dressed is either on depression or is unable to dress herself. Now we know there is a girl because it's a girl school dress. Now there's a short sequence in which shows a platform going up on a tunnel that in my opinion, it has to be the Wonder. And we see Misato and Dr. Akagi. It seems that they are planning something here. But this clip doesn't have any dialogue and we don't know the context of it. Therefore, they're going somewhere. Then they have a sequence of Asuka and Mary floating through some rooms. At first glance, it seems that they are swimming, but if you take a closer look, they are not moving their arms or their legs that may actually look like they are swimming. It seems to me like they are floating, in a way that someone would float in space or somewhere that there is no gravity. Because if you look very close, they are actually using their body weight to move around, and they are not using breathers. So it doesn't look like they are swimming either on LCL or water, but instead they seem to be floating around. Now, I'm not suggesting that they are actually in space, but they might be on a place in which there is no gravity or the actual rules of physics cease to exist. We can deduct that this happens around mid-film. This is definitely on the second act. We know that the first act is going to be around Shinji, Asuka, and Rei finding their way back to Wille, as they are left on the third film stranded on the skirts of Tokyo 3. That, and of course, if you have watched the 10-minute introduction last year, that I'm not gonna spoil for you if you haven't, we know what the Wille is doing on their part, and therefore Mari. So this is definitely mid-film. Asuka is already back in the Wille. She puts her white plug suit as Mary. We know that these plug suits are different from each other because on the previous teaser we can see that on Asuka's back is number 2, while on Mary's back is number 8. So each of them have their own Evangelion unit number on the plug suits. Now, where are they in mid-film floating like this? In my opinion, they are in a place in which natural laws cease to exist. So maybe it's in the epicenter of the Gulf Gates that we saw in the previous teaser, how they were heading towards it. But that's only a speculation. Now we move to a place in which it seems that Shinji is confronting his father. Or at least the way that they cut this teaser looks like. So we know that at some point on this film, Shinji is going back to NERV to confront personally Gendo Ikari, which he has his glasses broken. Now, we have a lot of speculations on how Gendo Ikari ended up wearing this particular set of glasses. It looks like he uses it for a purpose. Now, I cannot see very clearly what's happening here, but at first glance it seems that Gendo Ikari lost his eyes, and he's wearing this set of glasses just to see. Now at this point, the glasses are broken, and we can see that these glasses are powered by electricity, as we can see sparks in it. Therefore, these glasses have a purpose, and it seems like the purpose is for Gendo Ikari being able to see. At least that is my opinion. Nevertheless, the most important part on this sequence is that Shinji finally gets another chance to confront his father, as we know that in the end of Evangelion, he never gets the chance to do it. Then we are presented with this child. Now at first glance I thought that maybe this was a young Asuka because of her eyes and her skin color, but then thinking about it, her hair is not as red as Asuka is, so probably I'm wrong. This looks more like a dirty blonde that looks at red hair, but it's very hard to deduct who this child actually is. Now if I have to put a bet on it, I would say that is a flashback of Asuka and this is Asuka, but in reality is that I really don't know. I have no idea who this child might be or her role in the story. Then we get another image of Mary, and in this time Mary is in fact within the Evangelion Unit 8, because if you look closely to the background, it seems like it says Evangelion Unit 8 entry system. So she's on her entry block within the Evangelion Unit 8. It has barely nothing to do with the previous scene in which Asuka and Mary were floating around. At least on my opinion, is my perception. Then we have this image of what it seems Rei on LCL. That was my perception the first time I saw this. But to be frank, right now, I'm doubting on it. Maybe it's Yui Kari. Although we know that Yui Kari has a different haircut, and we know that Rei is a clone of Yui, so it's only logical that they seem like each other. So perhaps it is Rei, not only because of the haircut, but also because of the red eyes, as we know that Yui Kari doesn't have red eyes, only Rei has it. Now, which Rei this might be? I really do not know, because as I said on previous videos, we do not know how many Reis are in the reveal continuity. Now, I'm making a video that I intend to release before the year's end, that I'm going to go around on whether Rei that we know, the Rei that appears on the first and second movie, is actually alive, and where she might be at this point of the story. Now, I do believe that at some point of the movie, we are going to see more than one Rei. At least that is my expectation. So don't miss that video that I'm going to release early next week. I'm gonna try to post it before Wednesday, which is the 30th. So expect that video either on Tuesday or on Wednesday. On the next shot, we get to see again Toji Suzuhara's younger sister. She was reintroduced on the third film as Shinji's personal medical care official. Then we have Misato holding her arm, and from this shot we can take several things. Number 1, Misato is being injured. We know how Misato's story ends on the original run. It's probably one of the most tragic character arcs in the entire show. Now the question remains, is this time Misato going to survive the story? Well, I really hope so, because I really like this character. It's one of my top 3 favorite characters of the franchise. So I hope this time she gets the chance to survive the story. Now, she's been injured and she's carrying what it seems to be a bandage. Now, that is not a bandage. It's actually an armband. And we have seen this before among Wily personnel. Some of the Wily personnel wears this armband. Now, on our world, the real world, it's common to see these armbands among civil wars. Armies use them to differentiate factions that are fighting each other, to avoid friendly fire, because they basically wear the same uniform. They are the same army, they are the same country, so they look like each other. Therefore, if we take our real world traditions into the Evangelion universe or the reveal of Evangelion continuity, this might indicate that there's some kind of civil war. Now, this might be overthinking. We know that Wily as a faction are mostly composed of previous NERV personnel, and the armband is probably United Nations color, which is this kind of gray blue. Now, there's another image in this teaser that shows 2 other members of Wily using this armband. So, 2 things to take out of this image. Number 1, Misato's being injured. I really hope that she survives this time. And number 2, they are using this armband, which means that there's some kind of civil conflict, either within Wily itself, or they really plan to invade NERV as it happened on the end of Evangelion. Difference this time that is not the Japanese special forces that are invading NERV, but the United Nations with Wily at the head. Then we see one of these new NERV personnel that were introduced on Reveal Q screaming, which there's nothing particular in this scene to highlight. This is followed by Dr. Akagi screaming as well. So it might be that they are in the middle of a fight, in the middle of a combat, and they are instructing each other on what to do in the middle of the fight. Then we see Hyuga and Aoba, who are 2 of the original NERV personnel with black plug suits. And Hyuga is putting Aoba one of these armbands. So this has to happen before a major conflict that we were talking about early on the Misato shot. And then we have Kaoru. Now this is the first time, well, to be frank, I don't remember the first teaser, but for the last 3 teasers, this is the first time that we actually see Kaoru. Now there's no surprise here. We can all deduct that Kaoru is going to be in the upcoming film. He has been in each of the previous ones, so there's no surprise here. We all know what the fate of Kaoru was on Reveal Q, so the question is how he's going to come back on this movie. Now, we know that Kaoru died within Evangelion Unit 13, which is only logical to think that his soul remains within the unit. So in this shot, maybe he's trying to make contact with Shinji, or is a Shinji flashback. But in either case, I'm pretty sure that we're gonna see Kaoru taking an important role on the film. Then we see Shinji on what it seems to be aboard Evangelion Unit 1 or one of the Evangelion units. But I'm going to address this later in the final sequence of the teaser. So let's jump ahead. Then we get this battle sequence, and a lot of things are happening here. So the first thing that we have to highlight is that Wille is fighting another flying device. This pretty much be another Evangelion unit, as we know that Evangelion units can take many forms in the Reveal continuity. So this is a major conflict that is going on. This is followed by Evangelion Unit 2 upgraded again. So we know that Wille was able to salvage around 30% of the original Evangelion unit at the end of Reveal Q. And we also know that Wille is upgrading the unit at the very beginning of the film. This has been confirmed by many teasers and the introductory sequence that was presented last year. So this is Evangelion Unit 2 final shape or form. Now I know that the fandom knows exactly how each of these Evangelion Unit 2 different shapes have a different name, but for me, it's still the Evangelion Unit 2 upgraded. We see it fighting what it seems to be other Evangelion units. Again, these are, in my opinion, failures of Infinity. Now, we do not know if failures of Infinity are actually alive or they are dead. And I'm gonna dive more into it on my next video that I'm going to release early next week, so don't miss it if you are interested on my opinion regarding the failures of Infinity. However, in this shot, Evangelion Unit 2 is fighting them. They are floating around. They don't seem that they are attacking the Evangelion unit, and they look pretty much finished. Now we know that the failure of Infinity were not finished because the third impact was stopped by Kaoru. Besides that, the third impact wasn't a pure instrumentality ride. So that's why we see so many shapes and form of the failure of Infinity around the skirts of Tokyo 3. It's just because they weren't able to finish instrumentality. Now here they pretty much seem complete as they resemble Evangelion Unit 1. So it's very interesting to see how Asuka in the Evangelion Unit 2 is trying to kill all of them, that there seems to be ascending. Therefore, it pretty much seems that there's another impact going on, and this is going to go all the way into instrumentality as Seal and Gendo Ikari intended. And then we get into the final sequence of the teaser that might tell us more on how the movie is going to end. Now, I said at the beginning of this video that the final sequence of the teaser might be considered mild spoilers. So if you think that you already know enough about the film, you should stop now, because again, this might be the definitive conflict at the end of the film. Now, these are only speculations. I haven't seen the film. I've been avoiding spoilers all the way, so I really don't know how the film actually is going to end, but this sequence will give us a pretty good idea on how everything is going to go down. If you have seen my previous videos, you know that I've been talking about many things that appears on this sequence. Number 1, Evangelion Unit 13. We know that Evangelion Unit 13 is one of the Adams, and we also know that Evangelion Unit 1 is other Adam. Now, Reveal Q, when Shinji and Kaoru descended into the Terminal Dogma, Kaoru was expecting to find Lilith with a Spear of Cautious and a Spear of Longinus. When they approached to Lilith to take both spears out, Kaoru realized that both spears were Longinus. Now, we know that each spear have a different purpose, but we don't actually know what Cautious' purpose is. What we know about Longinus is from the original TV series. Now, the Spear of Longinus is a safeguard that the ancestral race put in each moon to kill the Seed of Life. So there was one Spear of Longinus for Lilith and one Spear of Longinus for Adam. As I said on my previous videos, the Spear of Longinus that appears on the TV series is Adam's, because Lilith's spear was destroyed when the Black Moon hit the Earth. Now, how they use the Spear of Longinus in the original run and in the end of Evangelion is to stop Lilith to regenerate, to kill one of the angels, and also to start instrumentality. So basically the Spear of Longinus is the ultimate weapon against a god. Now we don't know what Cassius does. We can deduct that it's the opposite, so maybe the Spear of Cassius, instead of killing a god, can give life to a god? We don't know. No, I really don't know. So I expect to be more complicated than that. And that is important because in this sequence we see Evangelion Unit 13 fighting Evangelion Unit 1. Evangelion Unit 13 has the Spear of Longinus, and it's very clear that the Evangelion Unit 1 is wielding the Spear of Cassius. Now that's the first thing that we have to highlight here. The other thing that I want to go back to Reveal of Evangelion 3, Reveal Q, is that the whole reasoning behind Seal and Gendo Ikari taking the spears out of Lilith was for Lilith to turn into LCL. And by doing so, they could allow Mark 6 Angel that live within to transmutate through the LCL into Evangelion Unit 13. As we remember how Evangelion Unit 13, it's a giant sphere of core. That sphere of core is Evangelion Mark 6 being. So now Evangelion Mark 6 lives within Evangelion Unit 13. And we speculated that Mark 6 is one of the Adams. So now we have two of the Adams together within Evangelion Unit 13. Now we also can speculate that the other Adam that we are missing here on the picture is the Key of Nebuchadnezzar. And the Key of Nebuchadnezzar is in possession of Gendo Ikari. Now at this point of the film, we do not know if Gendo Ikari has used the Key of Nebuchadnezzar, and we can only speculate that Gendo Ikari intends to use the Key of Nebuchadnezzar to put his soul into the Evangelion unit and occupy one of the soul's places, elevating himself to a god. So basically what we are seeing here is 3+1, the name of the film. Evangelion Unit 13 having the three Adams against Evangelion Unit 1, which is the remaining Adam. That being said, we can see the background. Which city is this? This is obviously Tokyo 3, and we can know that because of the three light towers in the back. Why is this important? Well, because we know that Tokyo 3 was destroyed during the near third impact and is completely covered on core. But here it seems that it's being reconstructed and it seems very clean. There's no core. So this might be either the last fight or one of the main fights of the film that occurs after Shinji is able to return everything to normality. As you remember in Reveal Q, Kaoru promised Shinji that he could turn everything back the way it was. The only reason why it didn't happen is because they didn't have the Spear of Cassius. But now they have it. It is right there. So now that everything returned to normality, Evangelion Unit 13 is waiting for the final fight. Now one question remains. Who is actually piloting each unit? Is Shinji actually piloting Evangelion Unit 1? And if so, then who is piloting Evangelion Unit 13? That we know there is a dual piloted Evangelion. So we can assume that one of the persons who is actually piloting the unit is Kaoru. The other person, we do not know. Nevertheless, this scene is extremely spoilery. And I'm amazed that they reveal such a big secret that could take a pivotal part of the film into this teaser. Now I hope that it's not as simple as it seems, because we know that Hideaki Anno likes to tease about many normal things and they twist it into a psychological drama. So this might be a twist within the storytelling of the movie. Or it plainly can be a combat simulation that Wille is putting Shinji through to measure his capabilities on piloting Evangelion Unit 1 and defeating the enemy without falling into his feelings and depression. This is not outside the realms of possibilities. Now, in order for the Unit 1 to actually exist as we remember and is portrayed here in this sequence, means that the Wonder has ceased to exist, because the Wonder is actually Evangelion Unit 1, as Dr. Akagi explained early into Reveal 3.0. Finally, we get two other scenes in this teaser. One of them is Asuka watching from a tower. Now this is Asuka because we can see the red block suit, although she is wearing what it seems to be a sweater of sorts. But this is definitely Asuka watching the sun. Once again, linking Asuka with the sun. And finally, we can also see the Wonder suffering a major explosion on a fighting shot. The teaser ends with a close-up to Shinji's eyes that are purple. So I don't know what this means. We know that it's not the first time that the children that is piloting an Evangelion unit change the color of the eyes. In previous films, we have seen how Mary and also Asuka eyes change colors into a glowing green. I don't know the meaning of that, but here Shinji turns his eyes purple. I've been speculating on previous videos how Shinji might have ceased to be a human, as in Reveal 2, he showed red eyes, followed by Reveal Q when he was rescued in space and the Wily personnel, including Misato and Dr. Akagi, were doubtful that the actual being that they saved was the Shinji that they know, or is actually more than that. And that's it, guys. That's the end of the teaser, and officially this is my longest video yet, at least on my Reveal playlist. I hope you enjoy it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider on doing so. I will be posting a final video for the year early next week. So like the video if you did, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss it. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I wish you all a wonderful day.